Welcome to Wallace on Wire. Today we're talking about some really powerful statements from Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, remarks that have certainly stirred things up.
They really have. These comments from the president of Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, well, they give us a clear look at the political mood right now.
Absolutely. For you listening, if you follow our political scene closely, you know Muhyiddin isn't one to mince words lately, especially about the current government.
Indeed. What's interesting is how these comments really lay bare those ongoing tensions, wouldn't you say? It's a snapshot from a major opposition voice.
Definitely. Okay, let's dive straight into the really sharp critique. Muhyiddin, who's 78 now, said something quite striking. He claimed he's never seen a person or party that lies the moment they open their mouth until now.
Wow.
Yeah, and he aimed that squarely at Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. That's incredibly personal, isn't it? More than just disagreeing on policy.
Well, absolutely. And, that kind of direct personal attack is very strategic. Coming from a former prime minister, leader of Perikatan Nasional, it's designed to chip away at credibility.
Right. It's about trust, fundamentally.
Exactly. It's a classic move, really. Discredit the leader on a personal level.
And he backed it up, didn't he? He argued that Anwar hasn't delivered on promises made before taking office. The main one he highlighted, failing to tackle the rising cost of living.
And that's the one that really connects, you see. That resonates because of the daily pressure for so many Malaysians. Cost of food, transport.
Yeah.
It's real.
It hits home.
It does. Muhyiddin isn't necessarily revealing new facts here, but he's tapping into that existing frustration, that anxiety, positioning his side as sort of understanding the people's struggles.
A powerful theme in our politics, always, especially when talking about the economy.
Definitely. And he didn't stop at just promises. He got specific about economic policies.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. He's arguing the unity government isn't just failing, but actually making things worse for the Rakyat, for the people.
How so? Did he give examples?
He did. He specifically mentioned things like canceling subsidies, expanding taxes, raising tax rates. Policies, he says, just add to the burden.
Right. And look, any government implementing measures like that, subsidy cuts on essentials, maybe new taxes, sales tax hikes, faces a challenge.
Even if they argue it's for long-term stability.
Exactly. Even with long-term goals, the immediate hit to someone's household budget, in ringgit, maybe petrol costs a bit more, groceries creep up.
Yeah.
That immediate impact is a political vulnerability.
So a family feeling the pinch, maybe an extra 50 or 100 ringgit a month, they feel that directly.
Precisely. And that feeling, that perception of increased burden becomes, well, political ammunition for the opposition.
Makes sense. It's the immediate pain versus maybe long-term gain. But Muhyiddin also brought up something else, more personal again. Yeah, a specific incident. He claimed Anwar defamed him in Parliament regarding petrol subsidies, said Anwar promised an investigation by the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission and an apology if Muhyiddin was wrong.
Wow.
Well, according to Muhyiddin, nothing. No investigation results, no apology, still outstanding.
Now that's interesting because whether the claim itself holds water or not, politically, highlighting an unresolved issue like that, especially one involving an official body like SKMM.
What does that do?
It reinforces the narrative he's building, doesn't it? The narrative of untrustworthiness, of broken promises. It becomes a symbol, a concrete example he can point to.
So it's not just about the specific issue, but the pattern he's trying to establish.
Exactly. It feeds into that larger critique of how the unity government operates.
Right, which leads to his broader points about governance. He said Perikatan Nasional MPs constantly remind the government about easing the people's burden, but their advice is ignored.
Ignored. That's a strong claim.
Very. He used a really stark phrase. They live off the people's suffering. And claim the government never admits weaknesses, so problems just don't get solved.
Well, look, from a governance perspective, a government's willingness to, acknowledge problems, listen to criticism even from opponents, and maybe adjust course, that's pretty crucial for public confidence.
So he's suggesting they're not doing that?
He's suggesting a lack of responsiveness, yes. Painting them as perhaps out of touch or unwilling to listen. And that perception, whether fair or not, can be damaging.
It sounds like he feels they're just not listening, which I suppose ties into why Perikatan Nasional decided not to join the unity government in the first place.
Ah, yes. The strategic decision to stay in opposition.
Muhyiddin framed it as the correct decision. He argued that seeing the Madani government Anwar's term being, in his words, rejected and mocked by the people proves PN made the right call.
That's framing it as vindication.
He said they refused to collude with the greed of the Democratic Action Party, DAP, and couldn't betray their struggle principles for the sake of power.
Okay, so that's positioning it as a principled stand. It raises that classic question in coalition politics, doesn't it? Alliances based purely on getting power versus those based on, well, shared values or principles.
That's a tough balance.
It is.
Yeah.
And in our context, framing it as standing against DAP, for example, and sticking to principles, that can play very well with certain voter segments. Portraying PN as perhaps uncontaminated by political deal-making.
And speaking of deal-making, he didn't spare the United Malays National Organization, UMNO, either.
No, I cannot.
He was pretty sarcastic about their alliance with DAP and Anwar, suggesting it was just for power. He called it, get this, a disgusting political virus.
Yeah, political virus. That's incredibly strong language.
And then he claimed Peratitan Nasional never used such dirty and ugly methods. He's drawing a very clear line in the sand there.
Absolutely. He's creating a stark contrast.
Yeah.
MNO in this narrative compromised its historical stance, its principles, for power alongside former rivals like DAP. PN, he implies, holds the moral high ground.
It's a powerful narrative to push, especially to those who might feel, disillusioned with traditional party alignments.
Definitely feeds into a sense of betrayal some might feel. And it underlines how deep some of those historical rivalries run, even when alliances shift.
Which brings us to his broader point about the state of politics now. He talked about Malaysia's history of relative peace and harmony.
Crediting tolerance, wise leaders, moderate approaches based on the Constitution.
Right. But then he says the entry of what he called extreme racial struggle parties into government through post-election deals has brought us to a watershed moment.
A watershed moment. That suggests a fundamental shift, a dangerous one in his view.
Yeah. He described the current unity government using that idiom, sleeping in the same bed but dreaming different dreams. Basically, together on the surface, but fundamentally divided.
Suggesting deep internal conflicts despite the united front.
He claimed they've forgotten why they wanted power and are just attacking each other now. Insults, warnings, threats, humiliations. He labeled it a chaotic government.
That paints a picture of instability, doesn't it? It highlights the potential fragility of these broad coalitions, where deep ideological differences or old rivalries have to coexist.
It certainly raises questions about effective governance if that's the internal dynamic.
And that idea of extreme parties gaining influence, well, that's a narrative designed to cause concern about national unity and moderation. We see comments online sometimes, don't we? People saying things like, why are they always arguing? Or just fix the economy, stop the bickering.
Yeah, that sentiment is definitely out there. People just wanting solutions, not political drama. What do you, listening, think? Does this feeling of chaos or constant political maneuvering resonate with your own observations?
It's a fair question. Does the political noise seem louder than the focus on solutions?
Well, there's certainly a lot to digest from Muhyiddin's statements. They paint a very vivid, if critical, picture of where things stand according to him. Significant points from a key figure about leadership and direction.
They really underscore the complex dynamics, the tensions just beneath the surface of our national conversation. It pushes us, I think, to look beyond just the headlines and try to grasp these underlying currents and maybe ask ourselves, in this kind of environment, this chaotic landscape he describes, what are people really looking for from their leaders? Is it about past promises or something else entirely?
A crucial question indeed. Remember to like and subscribe for more vid eating like this.